Hello, ma'am. Welcome to India today. It's so good to see you after a long time, and it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, I want to begin this conversation with your comeback to dancing, your comeback to acting. Tell me all about it that you have planned, that you are planning to open an academy as well.
Yes. So these are very challenging times because we lost our guru on the 16th of January, 17th early morning. And it was at exactly 12 that he left for his heavenly abode. And we were reeling under the impact because I was with Maharaji for 51, 52 years now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the last 2 years, the last we performed with him was in 2019 December, almost 2020. And that was the last when I spent some glorious times with him. And we, of course, he was very happy because we rendered his compositions in his organization, which is by the name of Kala Ashram.
Right.
And now I'm starting my academy because I want to follow in his footsteps and do my bit. Everybody keeps telling me you must, dance now, and you must take his school of dance forward as much as you can. So we've been in the middle of all this shuffling, and we are doing a Shraddhanjali in Kamani on the 25th, where all his senior dancers and his proficient, accomplished performers will be with me on stage. And we are doing various compositions. Some of his compositions, we are starting with Guru Charananame, Shish Navau, which is to our Guru and Aradhana. And then we are doing some solos and duets in which I will also be dancing with my dance partner Ramohan Maharaj, who is his first cousin and is Pandit Shambhu Maharaj's younger son. And we have both done a lot of extensive dancing together. So, after he passed away, we kept those 13 days ritual, and I had an altar in my house. And on the 14th day, I got up with a charge and an amazing amount of energy in me. And from there onwards, everything started on its own. And it's his blessings. I felt his presence that day, and it just happened on its own. So 2 days back, we did a wonderful Shraddhanjali before you. Here, there's a studio, and it was serene and divine and so calm and harmonious and beautiful. So I danced in that. Thoda sa maine bhi hazri di. And then onwards, everybody is saying now you have to take it over in Bombay. I don't know. I don't feel anything like that, but it's very nice and it's lovely. And so people have flocked together, and we are doing these 2 shows. So the NCPA show, I'll be performing in Bombay after 2014 and 15, I danced with Maharaji. Then we did the IDNCA show in Delhi in 2019 December. And so I got back to dancing, and I did a little bit more here and there. But basically now I am all set. My team is there, my dancers, musicians, the theaters, the compositions, we are all set.
Yeah, and we are excited to see you back.
Yes, and we are launching Roots Academy in a very definite and definitive formal manner on the 25th in Delhi, which is the Kalo Kathak. That's where Maharaji was, and that's where we learned our studentship years, which were plenty. I was very lucky. I learned in different batches with Maharaji, over time. And then I started as a soloist at 15, and I was represented on a national stamp in the Indian Heritage of Classical Dance Series. I represented Kathak with and I was so young at that time that Maharaji is the one who took me for the, the photo session. And he is the one who actually did my makeup and everything. I was so young.
That's nice.
I didn't know anything. I just could dance. Yeah, padafat. And he used to call me Neelam Pari.
Wow.
Say Kathak pariyon ka nritya hai. And so that's where it all started. And from 15, I gave my solo performance. I debuted, and then there was no looking back. And I was very fortunate that I was so popular in demand, and of course it's a very prestigious form. But at the same time, Maharaji's form of dance is very communicative, natural, and there's so much of connection with nature and the abhinay and the beauty is like paramount and paramount. And he had structured, so he gave the
Yeah.
new architecture to Kathak with
Mhm.
all the tomb curves and all the beauty. And then he brought in other styles and he learned Russian ballet and he brought that into his ballets. Then we did so many ballets, which were the most happening things in Delhi.
Yes.
So I was constantly working under him. And I was also doing a lot of my solos, which Maharaj used to come to watch. And I even shared the stage in the Lucknow Mahotsav with one day Gopiji performing and me the next day and Maharaji on the third day. So it's crazy how, and then everything stopped once I came to Bombay, and it was my whole attention was to bring up my children. So I was
Right.
pretty much a single mother. And so then the priorities had to shift. And dancing is very, very, it's definitely, I would say that you have to put in a lot of time and work into it.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's an all-time, dance has your soul and everything
Also
into it.
has an
Not that I'm
emotion.
saying that,
It also has an
yeah, and it's
emotion.
a complete all-time involvement. And I felt that, I need a steadier sort of an income base for bringing up my kids. And then it happened also that I came to Bombay because I just did Phir Wahi Talash for Lake Tandon, and Shahnaz became very popular. The character that I
Yes.
played became most probably historically really popular, I would say, in the Itihas of television. And then, work started coming to me there in Delhi, and then I started coming to Bombay and working and going back. And then finally I felt that I have to. By the time Sadak happened, Salim Nagar pe Matro ke baad, when Sadak happened, before that I
Yeah.
came back. I mean, I shifted back to Bombay, and I say back because I was in Bombay when I was a young girl, when very young child, I would say. My father was running Blitz here. He was the first editor of Urdu Blitz, which he, creatively formed with Mr. P.K. Karanjia. And my, grand uncle was here, Khwaja Ahmad Abbas Sahib in Bombay. So we spent a lot of time there. So I was very, very influenced by cinema and films because I used to spend my after school hours at his house and all my weekends also.
Yeah, that's great, ma'am.
So, that's where films happened when I was just a 5-6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And then we shifted to Delhi. Then I was in hostel in Nainital for some years. And so there's this one part of my family, which is the Nawab of Rampur. And his son was in Nainital and Kazim uncle. So I used to go for weekends to him because he was my local guardian. And his wife, Nilofer Aunty, who also later signed for Zinat Aman and Parveen Babi. She was a very good designer. She used to be the arts teacher in All Saints where I studied.
Wow.
And then I came back to Delhi, and then I saw Maharaji dancing at Purana Qila. And I came back to Delhi from Nainital and joined Martin Day. And then from there onwards, I started by dancing in Kathak Kendra, hugest institute there under Sangeet Natak Academy. And Maharaji took me into his class in just 1 year.
Yeah.
जबकि 5 साल का मुझे elementary course खत्म करना था. And from there onwards, it was all his तालीम, his शिक्षा, and बस वो गुरु शिष्य का जो एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत, बहुत ही हसीन और तरीन एक रिश्ता होता है, वहां से फिर then I started my journey there.
Yeah, that's great. Ma'am, also now that you're making a comeback to dancing, what's your family's reaction to it?
Oh, they're very supportive. Now my parents are no more. My father always supported me. I remember when I was completing school, at that time I said, because I took off at 15.
Yeah.
And before that also, I was constantly dancing from the age of 12 in the ballets and doing, Maharaji's other exploratory, beautiful pieces of and compositions of his. So I was already in the middle of it. So I said, now I need to now just go to Kathakeder, and we had a whole day thing, yoga, and we used to learn music and instruments and also costumes, and we learned how to make a stage also and all that. And so I wanted to go completely into it. And then we had extensive rehearsals. And before that, in the Talim Khana, we had years of learning also. रियाज भी होता था, जो कि खुद करना होता था, और मैं बहुत करती थी. So then at that point of time, I remember, I talked to my father, and my family was shocked because my family is highly educated. They're all like, double MAs and heads of departments and vice chancellors and, even Cambridge and Lumba and first class, first
Mm.
positioners, blah blah, and
Mm.
great people like iconic,
Right.
So they were shocked that she doesn't want to continue with her education,
Mm.
her academic
Yeah.
education. And I said I will continue with my academics, but they
Mm.
will lean now towards the arts,
Mm.
and I will learn and read and work on it. But I have, and my father supported me on it. And I
Mm.
told my father that if I don't do something splendid by 15, at 11, I told him, then I will do what you say. Otherwise, you will allow me to follow. And then the stamp series happened. And at 15, I debuted. And then I was hailed as I
Yeah.
was. I don't want to say much. I feel
Yeah.
embarrassed.
Mm.
And then onwards, my father said, no, no, she's found her path. And it was all Maharaji that I found my path.
Absolutely, man. Also, it's been a while since we have seen you on the big screen. When can your fans and everyone expect you to see on the big screen?
So I'd done a small little presence in Dolly, this film that came,
With
Dolly,
Kitty or
Aur
Chamakte
Chamakte
Sitare,
Sitare.
Sitare, right?
Yes, yes. And basically, the director of the film, she said,
Hmm.
just do it for me. And so I did it.
Hmm.
But it was really appreciated, that one sequence I did.
Hmm.
And so I played Konkana's mother, but there was a
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
complications and layers and conflicts in it.
Hmm.
So it was really, really appreciated. I got so much of appreciation and write-ups and everything. I was really taken aback.
Hmm.
And my children also said that we have to see more of you. And so
Hmm.
did, the audiences. And
Hmm.
I was like, my fan, I have a good fan following.
Yeah.
Thanks to God. Thanks to his blessings, I have a great fan following really from Shahnaaz times.
Yes.
So फिर भाई तलाश में जो वो बनी तो वो बहुत low. And so many years have passed, but somehow they're there.
Yeah, you have your
And
loyal fans.
yes, very loyal.
Very loyal.
And yeah, and so then after that, of course, now with Shahid and Ishaan doing mashallah so well, Shahid being a senior actor of his caliber and status, and Ishaan arriving with such brilliance. I mean, I'm really, like, a lot of gratitude and a lot of blessings, I must say. But at that point of time, I remember that I did Karam Yodha, then I did Salim Langre Pe Matro, then I came to know that Mr. Mahesh Bhatt is looking for me, and then Sadak happened, and then finally I shifted to Bombay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was a lot of work I did. I did, Rishikesh Mukherjee's Talash. I did Tipu Sultan, Junoon, with Cine Vista, Saas with Tina
Yes.
Gupta, and a lot many,
Lot
after that.
many films.
And I
you
did
have
my
done.
films. And I carried on doing my films. Like I did Itihas, and I did Chota Sa Ghar, and so many films which I don't remember also now, that were continuously I was doing, So then that happened. Then I did a lot of films that were smaller
Yeah.
films, but in the lead. I did a lot
Yeah.
of the leads in that.
Leads
So
it.
there was another thing going on along with,
Mm.
and television was happening, and anchoring was also happening. And so my dance got left behind
Yeah.
with the series and everything that I did. So anyway, that's okay. I mean, Zamana Divana with Ramesh Sippy, with Shahrukh,
Yeah.
Raveena, Jitu Jini, yeah, Jitendra Savar. तो वो सब चलता रहा और मैं करती रही. फिर उसके बाद, there came a phase where Shahid arrived.
Yeah.
He arrived, and I was very fortunate. I got awards for almost everything I did. I think almost even a story. Actress awards and फिर वही तलाश के लिए तो मुझे पता नहीं कितने 14-15 awards मिले बेहतरीन, and so yeah, I arrived, with a bang, and it was just great. I really didn't work for it, like how I see now teams and everything working, media, this, that. मुझे तो ये problem था कि media used to run after me, so I used to hide away.
Yeah.
ये था, अच्छा था. It was a good phase. And now there has been offers through the COVID period. I don't want to name those films now because I didn't do them, so that's not right.
Right.
And but good banners, good roles, good directors, excellent teams, and so I was sorry to say no to at least 3 of them. And some wonderful web series also came, but I wouldn't have done web series. That would have been a very long-term commitment.
Yeah.
there was too much of uncertainty through COVID. So I just took the very, very safe way out. Safe way in, actually, sitting
Safe way
indoors.
in, right. Yeah.
And yeah. So now I'm starting out, and
Hmm.
so there's a film that's come to me just day before yesterday.
Hmm.
I had my management team working with me for the shows also,
Hmm.
and for the work that I'll start as an actress also. So
Looking
I'm going to
forward
be
to that,
seeing,
ma'am.
hopefully with COVID, yeah, supporting it. Yes.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But ma'am, you have been in an integral part of this industry for many years now. What are the significant changes you have seen over the years in the scripts that are being written, the content that is being shown on the big screen?
So you know what, Nirali, I feel
Hmm.
that there were some very good things about the yesteryears
Hmm.
that I feel are missing on the sets today.
Hmm.
And there's some very good, organizational things that have taken place, very professional, that are definitely extremely supportive to not only actors, but everybody that works on a film,
Hmm.
especially the director.
Right.
So these things are very well. See, I feel with the corporates coming in,
Hmm.
everything changed, the whole game changed. And it was for the betterment, because before that, films used to take 4 years to be made sometimes.
Hmm.
And, even an actor would start looking different by the time, the continuity ka jerk hota tha,
Right.
actor over 4 years changes,
Hmm.
and also it's very difficult to stay within your character.
Hmm.
So we had performance. I'm not saying they were great performers and they were great actors in those times. They were iconic. They were larger than life. They had amazing star power to them and quality in presence and performance, both looks also, everything.
Yes.
But they tended to repeat their performances within the same kind of star, box that they were, box, huge frame, but
Yeah.
but that starry kind of, charm and gimmicks and airs and beauty and all that. And very rarely they were able to play characters in which they could really immerse themselves. I'm not talking about the 50s. In the
Yeah.
1950s, there used to be the studio era,
Right.
and actors used to be under one studio.
Hmm.
And so they used to give all, and they were on salaries. So they gave all, and everybody, the playback singers, everybody, all the creatives, technicians, everything. But in that 1950s, you can see the great films that were made under Mr. Bimal Roy and Mehboob and all the wonderful, great, film directors of those times, Guru Dutt, and I'm just naming 2, 3. I can't
Yeah.
take the whole list
Hmm.
through, but fabulous directors in those times.
Yes.
Then came the period of single producers that brought their funds from here and there.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, when something like that happens, which is on an individual level,
Hmm.
then the wrong type of money is also coming.
Right.
So the sanctity and the dignity of the film industry and the purity came into certain murky waters.
Hmm.
Then there was this phase, obviously, of the underworld also that was impacted. And unfortunately, some of us had to really be careful and stepping back from certain things. And so all that went on.
Yeah.
And I feel that the very form of Hindi film cinema, the face of Hindi cinema, changed because then superfluous cinema came in.
Yeah.
Which started in the 60s, which got into a good place in the 70s and went back into a very mixed phase in the 80s. And then 90s was pretty much song and dance. And, it was more like Chitrahar. And there were just these formula films being made.
Yeah.
Exclusive of the great parallel cinema also that came in, and of the wonderful directors like, Rishikesh Mukherjee and the storyteller Basu Chatterjee and some wonderful, Asit Sen and all. They were constant good filmmakers. From the South also, we had some amazing filmmakers that made film with our cultural heritage, like music and dance. And And of course, I will always say that, the kind of cinema we saw, like right from Guide to Tere Mere Sapne. So Vijay Anand,
Yeah.
and he was a fabulous filmmaker. He also made some very popular films like
Films
Jewel
like
Thief and
mm,
all that. But he had that wonderful, screenplay, and
mm,
his cinema was very beautiful. So
right.
I mean, then you had all these wonderful films that Rishikesh Mukherjee was making, one
Mm,
after another, with Anand on the top, and
mm,
all that.
yeah.
So it was a mix in this end of 60s that the Rajesh Khanna period started. So when the Rajesh Khanna period started, he was a superstar that reigned for 10 years. And he always made
Mm,
something or the other on the side.
mm,
So he would, talking about the goodness of humanity
mm,
and the nobleness of the good character, the humanitarian. So he
mm,
would, give you popular films, which were
mm,
also very entertaining. But he would do an Aradhana, he would do an Anand, the Bawarchi. So that all went on. So there was still this very soft, sensitive life, pieces that came from literature also, and
mm,
from छोटी छोटी बातें जिंदगी की वो
mm,
करते थे उस तरह के characters, and it
absolutely.
always had a story, a moral in
Mm,
it.
mm,
When he did, I remember Namak
mm,
Haram. तो उसमें ये अच्छा एक बंदा था मिडिल क्लास का, and he always like to play the underdog. And
mm,
Mr. Bachchan was Amitabh Bachchan sahab was playing the
mm,
industrialist son,
yeah.
and then the clash of their morality
Mm,
and their value system. And then he went in with the laborers, and then he became
mm,
the head of the, and so he
yes.
felt betrayed.
Yeah.
They had a great relationship. But then at the end of the story, it was the
Mm,
human story that
connected with the
that
audience.
yes, that so all that went on.
Mm,
And then started the 2000s.
mm,
And then cinema started shifting,
yeah.
and we had these huge films
Mm,
that used to be star-studded, multi, starrers, and all that whole phase went on. And there would be an occasional film that used to be wholesomely very entertaining, and then there
mm,
was this whole lot that used to be going to New Zealand or somewhere abroad.
mm,
And the Govinda phase came in, which is a fabulous
yes.
actor, but he brought in a certain kind of a comedy, and
Mm,
all that. And then of course Mr. Bachchan's phase. I mean, we cannot. But that brought
cannot
some
do-
kind of anger, and the youth got influenced with this whole, thing of inner
mm,
fire and anger. And of course, I mean, Mr. Bachchan also did wonderful films with the Yash
mm,
Chopra, and like Kala Patthar, and
mm,
Kabhi Kabhi, and all these wonderful films he did. Then the Rishi Kapoor phase was also very interesting because he was a
right.
fine actor. So
Definitely.
then he did really lovely films, on one
Mm,
side, and then he used to do these nice romantic films with Pitu
mm,
Singh, and then he would go back to doing a Chandni, and
mm.
he did some very interesting work also. He deserved
Diverse
even
work.
more, and I
Mm,
think later in his later years he did more of
then.
this interesting kind of characters that he
Mm.
played. The latest was Kapoor and Sons and all
Chance,
these
yeah.
wonderful. So yeah, so we've always had an actor in
Mm,
every phase of the 10
mm,
years, the decades that they saw of success. And so cinema got influenced by them, and
mm,
those kind of directors started working
mm,
and all that. But now the shift is this,
mm.
that yes, actors are still stars,
Yes.
but the good thing is that directors have become stars again.
Yes.
And that is wonderful. So
Yeah.
you have Mr. Sanjay Leela Bansali,
Inside.
or yes,
Mm,
the director is larger than life. And
mm,
I just named one. There are
yeah.
wonderful directors. I personally love
Mm,
some, that
mm,
I'm not naming,
yeah.
but yeah. I mean, बंसाली साहब का नाम आ गया क्योंकि वो कथक से काफी उनका एक कनेक्शन
Right.
है, और
Mm,
Raji से भी. But they are great directors, and they're doing some great stuff. And जितना हमारे formulas allow करते हैं,
mm,
usse they're trying to break out. Like I think a film like Urta Punjab was, uh, you know, Abhishek Chaubey really brought out something else.
Yes.
And I would also say that for Heather.
Heather, completely.
And though they are both my son's films, but I'm not naming million other films that are there. But I'm just saying that, and so Shahid's journey also started off in a very different way.
Yeah.
So so what I mean to say is that as cinema changed, my younger one arrived at a time when there is now a lot of global interconnection, and there's interesting work happening which he is doing, and Shahid has taken a great place post Kabir Singh, and it was constantly moving towards that, with an occasional this and that, which is a must in life to understand even more clearly. But yeah, it was a constant rise. So then I took a back seat for a while because now there were some issues related to my health also. I had a problem in my spine because of my dancing in Calcutta in 2010. So I got slipped in. So I was a little caught up with that, all that. And then so there were other issues, and there was a gut issue, and so I put on weight. And so I was going through that. But more than that, afterwards, I was completely committed to my grandchildren.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I wanted to be that wonderful, lovely grandmother and a complete, I would say, consistent and a reliable mother also to Shahid and Mira and Ishaan, of course. I mean, I'm always there for him. We are great buddies. And so that is the story.
Yeah, exactly, ma'am. Ma'am, apart from being a talented actress, you are a doting mother to both Ishaan and Shahid. I want to know how was their childhood like, and what are the fond memories of their childhood that still bring a smile on your face?
So I would say very proudly that both my sons did face a lot of challenges because unfortunately both my marriages failed, and there were reasons, and I don't need to get into that. It's a thing of the past, and it's all very good now. And I have good feelings for everyone, and I send all healing energies to my, to everyone in life. So, so they did go through those ups and downs, and I would say that breakdowns also, but the breakthroughs were brilliant of theirs. And then I also took charge. I took charge at some point, and I said, "Okay, koi baat nahi. Let it be me now, bringing the stability or the strength or the, just the vibration and energy, that is wholesome and healing and beautiful, full of love, and support of all kinds, moral support, everything." So I was earning, mainly, and so there was a time when I was extremely busy with in Shahid's case. I had to go to the sets and do long hours of work because I was running the show. I was the bread and butter. I was bringing the bread and butter, and I was the breadwinner of the family mainly. And so, and there were ups and downs and all that. So my children have really shown through it all. And that I give them an extra badge or extra this thing in the crown, because they could have gone the other way also. They could have been losers also because of it. They could have 100 problems that could have taken them down the path of not achieving anything. And more than anything that they've achieved in their professions, they have achieved being wonderful people.
Absolutely.
They're good human beings. And when I look at my son, I also learn a lot, even now, that, yeah, this is the way to structure your life. This is the way to go about. This is because I was going on I was on a roller coaster ride with my dancing in the back, leaving the city, transiting into Bombay, then that whole area where that when you transit from one city to another, and then find the ground, and then break in and then work for so many years relentlessly without a minute to breathe. And I'm not complaining. I'm very proud that it all happened. And I was blessed that it happened. I brought my kids up willy-nilly,
And very
through that whole
courageous.
chaos. Yeah, through so much happening, and so
Yeah.
much on my plate.
Hmm.
And a child is a child, you have to give him time. And I used to feel guilty also, yet I used to try to, stay back till 2 a.m. after coming back at 11 p.m., and it was just all so hectic. So through that chaos and so much happening and my not getting the time to breathe, introspect and, revalue things, my children just turned out fine. And so the other day, Mira was saying, you must have done something right, Mom, for both your sons to be who they are and where they are. And I said, I don't know. Maybe the machinery was good. Up now, corporate time mein cinema has changed. There is some interesting work happening. There's some exploratory work happening. The smaller films are becoming quite important and they are being given their due because time and again they did well. Then now we have the, the OTT because this whole COVID created that. So I'm glad that television got its due and it's due as, it should have, like in America and everywhere. Even when you see these Turkish actors, they work in the cinema and they work in the series and everywhere it is more or less pretty, I would say, democratic. So the COVID has helped that. The smaller voice with content.
Yeah, absolutely.
To become a larger voice.
Yes.
And that's a good thing because that means different stories, interesting subjects, out of the box work. And so now there will be big films. There will always be the large, bigger than life fantasy because that is the entertainment. And but there will always be a realistic film coming along, which will be talking about important issues also. And more than issues, I would say human stories. Beautiful stories. Yes. So I think it's all good, Nirali. It's good. And I think these 2 years have also rendered a lot of time to people to think about a lot of things. So I'll make it concisive. It won't be the larger part of the talk.
Yeah.
The conversation needs, a little, because I just want to say that my first priority is always my family. Always. In all that madness also. And I would say there was always a method in the madness that I was there for my children. That was my first thing, that my children will be with me. I will do what I can for them. And, the rest of it, I don't need to get into because that was very personal and private. But I did whatever I could. And some of my friends call me Mother Courage, which was Maxim Gorky's very interesting play, Mother Courage, where she used to have वो हाथ गाड़ी होती थी उसके पास और उसके ऊपर वो बर्तन बेचती थी और वो बहुत shrewd हो गई थी because she had to somehow bring up her children.
Right.
So that story was very interesting. I don't know if I became shrewd, but I must have become street smart somewhere that I pulled it through.
Yeah.
Despite the naivety.
Yeah.
I don't come from a business background. I come from a background of writers, and philosophers and educationists and poets and, so, yeah. So I just would say that, yeah.
And lastly, ma'am, you also have a loving daughter-in-law, that is Mira. How is your equation with her? Is it more like a Saas Bahu kind of thing, or are you on a friendly terms with her?
Do you really think so, from whatever you see?
No, not at all.
My relationship with Mira is first and foremost of a friend.
Yeah.
Elderly friend who wants to always support her in all her endeavors and give her joy and happiness and love and security by my presence in her life. And I think now it is for some years moved beautifully into a very tranquil place of a mother and daughter, not a daughter.
Not at all. Yeah.
I have two wonderful sons, and now I have a lovely daughter that I'm very proud.
Absolutely.
And I have a great time with her also.
Yeah. And you also have
She's very supportive of me, very supportive of my dancing. She's been a constant, admirer and a constant love flow that has been encouraging me and, pushing me towards getting back to dancing. And obviously also acting and everything that comes along with it as an individual woman, interesting woman with so much more to contribute and say. So she is very much there. And now we are very, very close, and it all went at the right rhythm. It was not as if I jumped on her and I said, Beta, and she said, Oh, ma, and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't be saying nonsense. That's not right for me to say that. It's about sensibilities, and that's also very sweet. But with her and me, it's been a steady growth. And I think both of us earned our respective places in each other's lives by being so transparent and yeah, just a good presence and support in each other's.
Definitely.
And
Also,
she's my son's love.
Yeah.
His beloved. And उसकी हमसफर है वो. और मेरे बहुत ही प्यारे पोता पोती की माँ भी है, छोटी सी, वो इतनी छोटी सी बच्ची लगती है. And और है भी बहुत young. But yeah, I mean, she has a very important role to play in our lives because she's now that young energy, that feminine energy that is come together, and everybody, the whole family, Ishaan and she are also very close, very close. They're buddies. They're like real brother and sister and best friends, and they're buddies, good chums. And and then of course she has sorted Shahid's life out besides the rest of it that comes along in a loving marriage. And so it's all good, beta.
Yeah, that's good. Also, ma'am, recently Ananya Panday attended Shahid's birthday party. How have you welcomed her, and what do you think about her as an actress?
See, I don't want to say anything about that part because it's not right.
Right.
For me to be sitting here and talking about stuff that I don't know how they would want me to. Yes. But this much I can say that she has also learned dancing from me for a while, and she plans to carry on. And she's a part of our inner circle, family circle, and she's a good friend of Shahid and Mira. And obviously, she's a very important part of Ishaan's life. I would say they're great buddies. Yeah. And they're good companions. There's a good thing going there with his friends also, and she fits in very well. And as far as I'm concerned, I would think that she always showed talent from the time she came. But with Gehraiyan, she has made a statement. I mean, she's not made a statement, but she's come shining through.
Absolutely.
And not only me, but everybody is appreciating her talent and her realistic performance and her intelligent performance. So she has been highly appreciated in Gehraiyan. Yeah. And I'm very happy about it. I mean, obviously, मेरी तो मतलब जैसे मैंने कहा शागिर्द भी है, तो मेरा एक वो भी रिश्ता है उससे, और घर का तो है ही. हाँ.
But thank you so much, ma'am, But thank you, ma'am, for doing this interview, for sharing insights on your professional, personal life. It was so lovely speaking with you. And I hope that people will get excited when they see this interview and hear about your comeback to dancing and acting.
Yes. And I would also like to say that at the end of it, although it's a little new to say, I'm starting my academy. And I'm happy to say that Misha is learning Kathak.
That's great. From me. That's great. That's so
and
good.
From all my Guru Bhais and Bahens, the whole Maharaji thing will be there with her, which she has started. And it's very, beginning this thing, but she's showing. And even the other tiny tots that are learning with her are very talented. So this is a very beautiful thing. And I feel that my grandson has a lot of beautiful music in him. So I don't know who will dance and who will sing and who will act and who will do something else or maybe Dali. But I know that it, that goddess Saraswati is everywhere right now in our
Absolutely.
lives.
Yeah.
And all the blessings are there. And I can feel that even more so after my guru has gone. And we miss him, his physical self, but he's there with us in us. हमारी रूह में है वो. हमारे कहते हैं रग रग और नस नस में और हमारी रूह में है. So the last part I would say is that with everyone now joining in with the arts and the affiliated performing classical arts in my family, I'm feeling like I'm sitting on a lotus myself. And
Yeah.
मेरा दूसरा नाम कमल भी है. घर
Wow,
का
that's
नाम
great.
कमल. So I feel कि मैं एक लोटस पे बैठी हुई उस वक्त और ये सब खूबसूरत वादियों में जो चीजें हैं वो मेरे बच्चों के थ्रू और मेरे बच्चों के थ्रू बहुत ही मुझे आर्टिस्टिक सा एक खूबसूरत सा स्क्रीन प्ले दिखता है और मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. और ऐसे ही मैं चाहती हूँ कि ये सब अच्छा रहे और गोल्डन रहे, सुनहरी रहे. And that's it, beta. That's it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, ma'am.